Welcome to Inside Bremerton. This is the City of Bremerton's video newsletter, focusing on issues and topics important to its citizens. Joining me today, two leading citizens, former Mayor Cary Bozeman, now Port Commissioner with the Port of Bremerton. Welcome, Mayor.
Morning, Char.
And
good to see you.
Thank you. And Marie Vila. Marie is a former I wasn't going to say that. She's former block grant administrator with the City of Bremerton, now a community volunteer and an outstanding baker. Marie, welcome.
Thank you, Char.
There's a big project going on that these two have been really working hard on called Bremerton Neighborhoods Now. Big project. We need folks to get involved. You're going to hear about that throughout. But first of all, Mayor, tell us about the project. What is Neighborhoods Now?
Well, Char, it's not a new thought for me. I don't know if you remember, but about 8 years ago, when my last term as mayor, we did initiate a Neighborhoods Now levy that went to a vote of the people, and it didn't pass. And of course, I was disappointed, but the reason it didn't pass is because it was not a grassroots effort. And here we are 8 years later, and the thought of a Neighborhoods Now organization is still important to me, and I think it's important to a community. So with Marie's help, we've begun developing and facilitating a proposed kind of plan that we want to engage people in around the concept of building safer, healthier, more involved neighborhoods. You know, as I get older, the more I believe that what keeps people healthy and happy is that they're engaged in their community. And to me, their community is their neighborhood. So we're launching this effort to engage people in this whole idea about building stronger, safer, healthier, more involved neighborhoods.
So how did you two get together? Now I know that, you worked together. Marie was doing block grants for the city, but that's been a few years now. So how did you two find each other and get together?
We've kept in touch over the years. I bake, so sometimes there's cakes involved. But we ran into each other. Cary had this idea about a neighborhood program and knew that had been since I moved here. I've always been a really involved community activist of sorts, with the farmers market, with other usually food-related things. But we started talking about a potential neighborhoods program, and we put our heads together and came up with something I think is really great that's extremely people-focused. It's a grassroots, positive opportunity for a positive people uprising to create a place of our own that's that addresses the things that we want in our communities.
And I think we both feel like the decisions now are going to be made more from the ground up than they are from the top down. And we need a movement, if you would, of people finding a way to be organized to make decisions that impact their own life every day and not depend on others for those decisions. So what's a better vehicle for that than your neighborhood, right? So we've put together initially a plan called Neighborhoods Now, and the important thing though is we want to engage people. So Marie has written a website, and we have a Facebook page, and we have a survey online that we hope people will go to and fill out. And we've got a big Neighborhoods Now Summit, the first annual Bremerton Neighborhoods Now Summit, scheduled for March 25th, which is a Saturday, at the Lutheran Church on Bonita and 11th. Pretty good, I remembered all that without even looking at my notes.
Go ahead, Marie.
What we've found in talking to people, we had a little small group meeting just to kind of what we're calling our neighborhood champions, folks who have already been engaged or have already figured out how to deal with issues that weren't quite going right in their neighborhoods. We brought them together and had a conversation last weekend just to see what their thoughts were on this plan moving forward, because a plan like this is only as good as the people involved. We need a critical mass and we need voices. We need to know what people want. So
we're talking, like, those of us that live in Bremerton know that Manette has got a strong neighborhood
Right.
group. They put on a little festival.
Right.
They do organized events. Number one, they communicate in their neighborhood, which is very cool. We also know that Union Hill is getting fairly organized, that you can identify it. Keep going, Marie. There's others.
And you've reminded me of what I was going to say. Thank you. What we learned at the meeting the other day was that while there's a lot of neighborhoods that have started organizing or have what appear to be really robust neighborhood associations, there are always challenges. We've met with some folks who have homeowners associations.
Right.
They have to organize. But there's so many logistical issues. It would be nice to have some support and expertise to help navigate those things. Groups like Manette, Union Hill, they've also, there are always growing pains in places where groups don't know how to get from this really great idea that we're going to have a neighborhood association to actually having one and being able to carry out events and get things completed and communicate well with their neighbors. So this is where we would step in and facilitate that. It would be a facilitator role to help those things happen, but based on what the needs and desires of the neighborhood are.
We see the Manette model spreading throughout the community. For instance, Manette has a, what do you call it, neighborhood watch program that's been very effective. And they share information when somebody sees something that they think might be a little off center. They share information with each other, and that's been very effective. They've worked hard on building. They put some money together and built some little trail systems within the community. They have a street fair, that sort of thing. So we'd like to see that. We see that as a model, one model for neighborhoods, but we'd like to see that spread throughout the community. So what we're trying to do here is come up with a proposed draft plan, kind of an idea, and then facilitate bringing other people involved and let them develop this thing as they for their own community, for their own neighborhood. You know, I really believe that cities are changing how they govern themselves and how things happen within cities. And I think it's going to be you're going to see more grassroots efforts in communities across the country that are going to empower these neighborhoods to affect their own life and where they live, right?
That's right.
So that's the whole essence of this whole thing. So if people want to get engaged and involved, it's going to work. If people don't, and they don't have, they want to sit on the sidelines, it won't work.
Right. And there will be people that don't want to get involved.
Oh, no.
But things are going to happen either way. Because
Right.
some people are going to go to the survey, and we want you to go on to the website that you see on your screen, take this survey. So Marie has outlined some neighborhoods. So you kind of think, okay, so where do I live? Personally, I live at the west end of Sylvan Way, near Rickey Road. My neighborhood immediately is about 10 homes, but I am in District 1. Ms. Sullivan is my representative, my city council person. Do we identify our neighborhood with a council person? That's the interesting piece, Marie.
We had that discussion, and it's, this isn't a political, they're not political jurisdictions, they're neighborhoods. They're kind of more fluid, they're more self-defined. You may feel like you belong to one neighborhood, say Manette, and somebody else thinks your neighbor may feel they belong to more a Wheaton Way neighborhood.
Right.
So it's not
Right.
important. It's where you feel where you belong.
But we don't want this to be a political organization.
Right.
And I think that's caused some of these neighborhood associations to lose their focus and their purpose.
Oh, interesting.
And so we have no intention of identifying neighborhoods that fall within various political boundaries.
Okay.
I think that's a failing of a neighborhood organization.
Good point, Mayor. We want folks to go to the survey. Number one, they're going to want you to identify where you live, because that is important, but also what's important, what is important in your neighborhood? Is it streets? Is it communication? Is it lighting? Is it
Right.
Just feeling a sense of belonging. And how can you be connected? And then, of course, we want you to be at the summit on March 25th, a Saturday, at Our Savior's Lutheran Church.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock
You know,
in
I
the
want to
morning.
make a couple of points that are in our mission statement. One is neighborhoods can't flourish unless they're safe. So a big part of this plan and this effort is how do you make neighborhoods safe? How do you people feel comfortable in their homes and going for walks and all those kind of things. So we're having a lot of conversation. You know, street lighting is part of it. Obviously, police enforcement will have something to do with all that. But people watching out for each other. But the other point I want to make is the second point in our mission statement, which is healthy. The more research I do about why people live longer is they live in communities that are engaged with each other and they're involved in programs. There's one small community that we looked at that has what they call a walking school bus. And instead of school buses, the people in the community walk the kids to school. So that accomplishes a couple of things. There's one community that has a tool lending library. So not everyone has to have all the tools that you need. So you can go down to the tool lending library that's supported by the neighborhoods, all run by volunteers.
Very cool.
And, you know, so those are the kind of programs that create healthy, safer, more involved communities. And our mission statement really is the essence of this whole program, right? And programs will fall out of that mission statement. So under safe communities, under health communities, under involved communities, there'll be programs that support all those three vital mission statements for a good neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Marie, what's important to you from this whole process? What are some extra points you need to make?
Well, I think it's really important that part of the reason I moved here was I wanted a great community to live in with great neighborhoods. And I'm from Seattle. I moved here 12 years ago or so, and I did some tours of different communities to see, is this a place where I can first afford to live, but that has neighborhoods? Mm-hmm. And Bremerton Bremerton has beautiful neighborhoods and great places to live and thrive, and it's so much potential. And I saw that potential, and I think that's where we are now, is just really starting to grow that potential. We're getting business districts starting to thrive, and our neighborhoods, there's an upswelling. And I think that's really important. So the most important piece right now is the first component of our plan, which is start from the ground up. We got to engage the neighbors. Know what folks want, come up with some projects, like the neighbors come up with projects or things they want to do, very small, very simple. It could be walking clubs, could be the walking school bus, it could be just planting in their roadside planting strip so everybody has a beautiful garden. Yeah. So just these really simple things that everybody can engage in that aren't going to cost a lot of money but that bring people together. So starting simple is an important thing to keep in mind.
And I think another essence out of this is empowerment. These last couple of years we've seen some examples of where neighbors have had to get organized in order to deal with some issues in their neighborhood. We saw that at Union Hill neighborhood with some of the issues they had with the church, where they ended up having to work out with the church. We saw it up at kind of the high-low neighborhood where there was the kind of people got together when there was a worry that maybe a casino was going to be moving in there. Right. We've seen it at East Park where the neighbors got together. And so we've seen in the last couple of years just kind of some volunteer neighbors that got together when there were some challenges in their neighborhood. And so we see this kind of a program is setting forth some empowerment opportunities for people. So when those challenges do come along, they're organized and they're ready to do what they think is best for their own neighborhood. And so that falls out of this too, is empowerment.
Right. What does success look like? So we had, people take the survey, they attend the summit. Then what? Then what?
Well, then what we hopefully come in is more input and more engagement and more people working on this idea and this plan. And eventually it will be kind of an organic movement. I mean, for me or Marie to sit here today and tell you where this is going to end up would be not correct.
Could be different in my neighborhood than it
Right.
is on the west side of town.
We want people, this will go like this. And it'll be, if it's sustainable, it'll continue moving like that forever, right? Because different people will be engaged and involved in different, and want to do different things. But I think the essence of it is that we facilitate the beginning of a strong and healthy, involved neighborhood program in the city of Bremerton. And where it goes, I have no idea. But I think it's, I do believe I do believe its time has come. I do believe it's long overdue, as a matter of fact, but I think its time has come, and I think it's a good thing for our community, and it'll make us a better community. That's what I think. And so I'm glad we're doing it, and I love working with Marie. She's been great, and now we've got a small, we call it our champions group, that we meet once a month. And so I think what I could say to you is, let's talk in another year and see where this is.
Good. Marie, any other thoughts?
I think I'm good.
Good. Please go to the website that you see on your screen. Number 1, take the survey. Number 2, attend March 25th, Our Savior's Lutheran Church, which is on the corner of 11th and Veneta. Beautiful church. I'm sure there'll be signage there for you. Attend that summit. See what this is all about. Check it out. Make Bremerton better from the neighborhoods up.
Yeah. Hear, hear.
I think that's how we'll end this talk. I want to thank our former mayor, Cary Bozeman, now Port Commissioner. Thank you for coming
Char,
in.
always good to
Thank
see
you for working on this.
Yeah,
You're always working on stuff.
I have a passion for this.
He's
Yeah.
entrenched in it. Marie, wonderful having you, and thank you for your work on this. You'll see these two folks on March 25th. I'm sure you'll see your other neighbors. We want to see you there. And thanks for joining us on Inside Bremerton. We'll see you next time.